He's Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host. You can see him and listen to him on the show that precedes ours on Peacock with Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live, and Chris joining us on the program. Going into the games, what was the one where you thought we could see a surprise?
It was the Green Bay-Dallas game, right? I didn't have the guts to pick it. If you listen to my podcast last week, me talking to Florio on PFT, that to me was the game where I went, out of all the games that there could be a surprise this weekend, right? And I didn't see the Houston-Cleveland thing coming that way. But the Green Bay one was the one where I went, again, no, Dallas had the better season, but anybody that watches football, it's a matchup league, and there was some things about Green Bay that I certainly posed some problems for Dallas and thought they could keep it close, if not pull off the upset. Certainly didn't see them blowing them out the way they did. That was pretty amazing.
Okay. Can we move on from Jordan Love? We're not quite sure if he's that good, or he might be. You had people who suggested that he was a bust. Like, this guy has been unbelievable, and they played playoff football to get into the playoffs. And Chris, when they won the toss and elected to take the ball,
right,
it told me everything I needed to know about Matt LaFleur's confidence in Jordan Love and that offense.
Yeah, that's right. And Matt LaFleur, let's not forget, was in Atlanta with Dan Quinn, right? So he knows that defense. And I think they knew, Jordan Love, right? We can run the football. Dallas has a smaller defense. Wait, we got some weapons. Let's jump out on Dallas early at home instead of letting it be vice versa, which Dallas, of course, hasn't lost in 2 years, basically because they jump out on people. Then the other team has to, oh, no, we got to throw the ball more than we'd like. And now Micah Parsons and the pass rush get unlocked, and they get to play from ahead, and they're dangerous that way, Dallas. They're kind of like the bullies. Once they start bullying you, they just kind of pound you in the ground. Green Bay said, the hell with that. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to get out on front, and we're going to make you play a style of football you don't necessarily love to play, and just kept the pressure on them consistently. Jordan Love, like you said, I mean, when he came out in the draft, there was a lot that I really liked about him. He was raw. And that's where it's hard with the draft, right? Because, you look at him now and you go, hey, Jordan Love, watch out. He's got some superstar caliber traits. He does. His ability to hang in the pocket, not see anybody around him, throw off his back foot. He's got long arms and gigantic hands. He can flick it. I mean, what a performance by him and Matt LaFleur and the whole football team in Green Bay.
All right, let's troubleshoot the Cowboys. You're Jerry Jones.
Right.
What are you going to do?
I mean, it's a tough one, right? I feel, I guess there's a part of me where I'm old school and I want to go, man, a guy finished 12-5 for the third year in a row, right? But also the expectations are higher than that. Out of the 3 playoff losses that McCarthy has, I think 2 of them, Dallas is going to look at and go, we feel like we were the better team in 2 out of the 3 losses. The first loss to the 49ers a few years ago in the wild card game with the not being able to spike the ball late. And then, of course, yesterday, that always leaves a sour taste in the owner's mouth. Wait, I think we're the better team, yet we didn't win any games in the playoffs and didn't advance. That's going to be hard for Jerry Jones to swallow. I think Jerry Jones really chopped out a leg of Mike McCarthy's power over the football team earlier this week by saying, hey, we'll see how it goes week by week in the playoffs. That's a great message to send to your locker room about the general of your football team in a big game, right, Dan? I mean, that was kind of crazy. And then, of course, Jerry Jones puts high expectations out there during the week going, I think this is our best chance in a long time. All right, so all of that I feel for Mike McCarthy, but at the same time, I don't think it's totally reached expectations. And, clock management,
do you think they make a change, Chris?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think something drastic's coming. I think it's going to be hard after all this for Mike McCarthy and them to command the locker room. I do. I just think with the way things have kind of shook out, his reputation before that, I think players in the locker room, no matter how well they do next year, they're still going to go in the playoffs going, wait, is our coach going to get us ready? And I think that's ultimately will lead to the end of the Mike McCarthy era in Dallas.
But you also have Bill Belichick available.
That's the other aspect.
If you don't have Belichick available, because, you can fire your coach, but who are you replacing him with? That's the important part of this. But you do have the Bill Belichick aspect that's out there. If Belichick's not out there,
yes.
Do you think Jerry Jones makes a change?
Maybe not. I look at Vrabel to be up in that category where I go, wait, Mike Vrabel's out there too, right? So, but I know it's Belichick. It's the greatest coach of all time. I think we all wonder, can Jerry Jones and Belichick coexist as working partners, right? I think there's a relationship off the field, but is Jerry at a point finally where maybe he's old enough and desperate enough to go, okay, I'll run the press conferences and the business and you can run the football. And I won't go as crazy with the press conferences and give the State of the Union and I'll do all that. If they can find some common ground there, I think it's the exact type situation Belichick is looking for, right, Dan? Belichick doesn't want to go somewhere and rebuild. He's not looking for that. He's looking for like what Tom Brady had when he went to Tampa. I'm going to look for a team that's ready, that just needs me to come in and add a little finishing touch to the whole thing here. And I think that's where, Belichick will be very enticing to the Jones family.
Are you sold on Dak, making him the highest paid player in the NFL with this contract coming up?
Well, I don't. Well, why does it have to go that way always? Why can't it just be towards the top of the market? That's where I want to. Like some of these teams got to stop negotiating against themselves.
Well, the agents won't allow that to happen.
I know that's so with Dak, and he's made good money. You can win a Super Bowl with him. He's certainly top 10-ish type of quarterback, right? He did a great year. I still would want him to be my quarterback, right? But I would go, well, wait, you're not Joe Burrow, and you're not Patrick Mahomes, and you're not Josh Allen, so you don't get that quite yet. You got to earn that, and that's where I feel like they got to draw a line in the sand a little bit there and figure that one out. And I feel the same way with Tua and the Dolphins. Well, throw out a number. We don't know to throw a big number out there. Who's going to offer Tua a huge contract? I'm going to say nobody. So, it'll be interesting to see how both of those teams kind of handle that situation this year.
Yeah, the overreaction to these games, and certainly with Tua, it's like, oh, you can't sign him up for a long-term contract. I'm like, who are you replacing him with? I mean, he did have a good year. He stayed healthy.
He did. Yes.
I didn't think they had any chance to beat Kansas City. And,
right. No, you're exactly right. That's the big question for all these guys, right? Like, oh, we're going to replace Justin Fields. We're going to replace Dak Prescott. Like, if you're totally sold that you got somebody better that is going to come in and just knock it out of the park, okay, fine. But he better, because if he doesn't, people like me are going to go, what the hell were you thinking replacing that guy with that guy? Okay? And that's where, yes, it does get dicey. You're right about that. And we'll see. Yeah, you're certainly right. Tua had a great year, right? No doubt about it. As we see, when teams figure out a few of the McDaniels tricks, though, they're limited. And Tua's not the type of guy that's just going to go, I'll carry the team and I'll figure it out. And I think this is why the prior regime had cold feet on Tua, because they felt like, man, cold weather, tough AFC January football, we're not sure he could throw through the elements and carry an offense that way. And I think those questions still exist after the other night.
Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host, also his podcast called Unbuttoned, the former NFL quarterback. Watching the Rams, I thought the Rams were going to beat the Lions.
I did too.
I just think that momentum that they had, they were playing well, but that second half when you're just kicking field goals came back to haunt them. And, give Jared Goff and Dan Campbell a lot of credit, because that's a game you're supposed to win, and they did win.
Right. That's right. And the pressure was on them. The expectations, the fans, everything there, right? Jared Goff, if there's anybody this thing was personal to, it's him, right? Matthew Stafford, like he asked to get out of Detroit. He was ready for a change. He won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Jared Goff is like, wait, that team got rid of me. They gave the team that I'm on something even more to make sure that they got rid of me, right? So that was personal to him. Good for him. It's amazing what Dan Campbell's done. I think you said it right. Right. I was like, when the second half started, I was like, man, the Rams got to figure something out on defense, because, oh my gosh, the Lions just moving the ball up and down the field. They go on that long field goal drive there to start the third quarter. But after that, Rams defense settled in, gave them issues. I think what you said is the key to the game. The fact that the Rams kind of controlled the second half, moved the ball, certainly were the better team on the field, I felt like, in the second half, but couldn't punch it in once they got down there in the red zone. That Lions run defense came in handy. And then, of course, now McVay can't spread the field out the same way inside the 10-yard line. and it became tough for them to punch it in, and that was the difference in the game. You're right about that, Dan.
All right, handicap this game, these two games. Let me start with the Steelers and the Bills. When a game is moved, back, like you have to wait another day, what that does to the preparation or like you get in that game day mode and we're going to be playing on Sunday and then we're not playing and now we're playing on Monday afternoon. I don't know if it messes with either of these teams, but I'm just curious of the Steelers going into Buffalo, what you expect to happen.
I think it just makes the teams more antsy, right? I think they found out early enough to where they hadn't quite got into game mode yet. I think as the players, some of them are going to go, man, I'm going to feel fresh. This is great to have an extra day to heal and get there. I think the coaches will look at it and go, hey, there's a few things we can tinker with here and a few extra coaching points to help us out. I think we're going to see a tough cold weather type of football game that the Bills kind of control, but it's ugly, right? I would expect like a 24-10, 27-13 type of win. I just don't trust that the Steelers offense can move the ball consistently on this Bills defense.
And then you have Tampa at home as an underdog. Baker Mayfield banged up, and like maybe psychologically the Eagles banged up. I'm not sure what to expect in this game.
It's to maybe for me the hardest game to figure out of the weekend, right? I mean, the Bucks, they're going in like they can't feel that great. They got kind of dominated by the Saints at home the second to last week of the season. Last week of the season, they barely beat Carolina. It wasn't very impressive. The Eagles, yeah, like you said, it's a pitiful December. I chose the Eagles because I just think they're the more talented football team. Now, not having A.J. Brown, that does change things too as well. But I think this is a close one. I think we're going to see a lot of big plays in the passing game. I just feel like the Eagles have a few more avenues in which they can kind of let the game flow to, and there's a little more versatility in their attack. I'm going to go with them, but I'm not feeling like real confident. I'm not betting any money on DraftKings, I'll tell you that.
This came to mind when I'm watching Matthew Stafford get banged up last night. And then we had the benefit of, that camera that focused on his face and his hands. And I have to believe he was concussed in that moment. But what he did is he grabbed his ribs. So if you grab your ribs when you go to the sidelines, they put him in the tent. They may not even be checking him for a concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Matthew Stafford had the wherewithal to be able to go, oh, my God, I got my bell rung. Oh, man, do my ribs hurt?
I think 100%. I'm not sure that's what happened. And maybe his ribs are hurt. He hit the ground hard, right? I'm with you. You saw the eyes wide open, all that. Now, you get hit like that sometimes, like your eyes are like that anyways, because you're like, holy crap, that was a car wreck. I can't even believe, am I alive still, right? There's a little of that goes on in your head there. But I think to your point, the players are conditioned. My bell got rung. Let me lay here a second so I don't stand up and become wobbly, and then they definitely take me out of the game. And I would do the same thing, Dan. If my bell got rung, I'd be grabbing my shoulder and my arm to distract from it right away because it's a big game and I want to play and you're not telling me I'm not playing. Man, my shoulder hurts even though I'm seeing three of you. And I would not be shocked if he pulled that move. I think that is something that the players are very aware of.
Okay, but if you have the wherewithal to grab your ribs, then maybe you're not concussed.
That's what a player would say. And a player would go, yeah, it's just my bell rung. I'm not concussed. It's football. I got hit hard. I don't need concussion protocol here. And see, that's what I think an old school player like Stafford is going to justify it. Like, hey, I was smart enough to fake it. I'm not that out of it. And hey, did you see that throw I made and the decision I made on the next drive? I was fine. I made some great plays and all that. Rams, future's bright.
Oh, yeah.
They did a great job of retooling this team and they got an O-line finally there. Kyron Williams is a superstar at running back. Puka's a superstar. Incredible job this year, and watch out for them in the future here.
Thank you, bud. Good to talk to you as always.
Thanks, Dan. Be good. See you, everybody.
Chris Sims. You can see him on Football Night in America, Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio. He's the co-host. That show precedes ours.